All right, that was a terrible weekend. We had LSU lose on Saturday in embarrassing fashion and then wash, rinse, repeat the next day. A lot of the same problems LSU had, the Saints had, and, well, you got two L's in that weekend. And I was wrong on both predictions with the winner and the spread. So I apologize. I didn't expect LSU to completely forget how to play defense. And then I also didn't expect the Saints to fumble the ball after an interception at the 1-yard line and kick 3 field goals and lose that game. So neither team played well. They both lose, and we're here to break it all down for you as always. Good, bad, and ugly, and unfortunately, it's very ugly this week here on Game Time with John Eads. Thanks for watching. All of our episodes are up on YouTube. They're also at this website right here. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. While you're here, we've got plenty of content still coming your way because LSU's football season, not even halfway done. They've already got 2 losses. It's kind of a disaster right now, but we're not going anywhere. We'll be with you guys all year for them. Saints as well. So we got an all LSU show today because, as I just said, we just got into October. This team is 3-2. That's bad. That's very bad. So we got to talk about how they're wasting the offense, and we're going to talk for a good 15 minutes or more about how bad this defense is and why exactly they're bad. So let's get right into it. Let's start with something that's kind of positive, but there really aren't many positives aside from this offense, and kind of the positive is a negative. LSU and its defense is completely wasting one of the best years of quarterback play the Tigers have ever had. They're wasting a JAYDEN Daniels Heisman campaign right now. He's putting up numbers. He's running this offense as efficiently and as well as Joe Burrow was a couple years ago. And I feel very comfortable making a comparison between Joe Burrow and JAYDEN Daniels. This guy is lighting every defense he's seeing completely up. And that's spreading to everybody else on this offense. But here's the problem. The offense is the only unit on this team that has any kind of juice, any kind of charisma. And, well, the scoreboard is showing that because week after week, sans Mississippi State with a quarterback that may as well be in a wheelchair, and Grambling State, a team that plays in the FCS, this defense has looked awful, and it doesn't even look like they even care. It doesn't look like as they're getting just gashed play after play, drive after drive, they want to do anything about it. And it's obvious. I'm right there down there on the sideline watching LSU play these games. I was there at Ole Miss. And this offense was fired up all game, especially in the second half. They come out of the locker room, down 3 points. They score on that first possession. They punch the ball in with physical runs, and they walk to the back of the end zone, fist pumping each other, banging helmets. Charles Turner, the center on this offensive line, is running off the field as if he just won the lottery. Like, that's how much it means to this offense. They know that each guy is putting forth their full effort and each and every play. And eventually, that shows up with the on-field success, and you look up at the scoreboard, that's where you really see that success. So the offense is great. I got no complaints with them. How can you have complaints with this unit and with this group right now? JAYDEN Daniels, another excellent game, 27 of 36, 414 yards, 4 touchdowns passing. I mean, maybe last year you would have thought he would get 4 touchdowns total between running and passing. No, he had 4 passing, and 3 of those at least were to 3 different receivers. Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors got involved a bunch as well. I don't think he cracked the end zone. It was Thomas and Lacey, but still, he's spreading the rock around to a lot of different guys, and that says a lot about who he is as a quarterback. It means he trusts his receivers, and he's throwing balls that can be caught by pretty much anybody. That's elite right there. This guy is at the top of the boards for pretty much any offensive quarterbacking statistic. Quarterback rating, he's top 5. Passing yards, he's top 3. Scoring for touchdowns, both passing, running, whatever that he's accounted for, also top 3. And not to mention, he's electric with his legs. I told you to watch out for that with this game. He brought it. 15 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. Ole Miss could not stop this guy. Defenses all year will struggle to stop this guy. LSU will have a top 3 at bare minimum offense in the SEC this year. They'll definitely be top 10 in the country the way they're producing right now, as long as they can stay healthy. As I said, they spread it around again to different people. It's not the Malik Neighbors show. No, Brian Thomas, he is confirmed him. He has been so good this season, and he was the lead receiver in this game against Ole Miss. He had a one-on-one matchup several different times, and he came down with the football in contested situations for touchdowns. They couldn't cover him. They couldn't cover Neighbors. Like, other defenses have problems with this LSU offense. And frankly, this offense will need to lead this team in every single game this year because clearly the defense is a non-factor. Every game expected to be a shootout. LSU's got to put up at least 40 if this team wants to win 8, 9, 10 games. But what happens when you run into a team that has a good defense, like in Alabama, like at Texas A&M, and your offense maybe struggles a little bit, maybe puts up 25 or 30? You got some issues, and we're going to get into that. We got a film review coming up about this defense and things of that nature, but this offense is really good, and it's all because of Jayden Daniels. He's a great leader. Another thing I'll get into on the defensive side, who's the leader of the defense? I don't know. Who's the leader on the offensive side? You could say Will Campbell. You could say Emory Jones. You could say Malik Neighbors. You could say Jayden Daniels. There's so many guys that just take responsibility, and that's why this unit is so good. And Daniels himself, the one gripe you might have with him is he's got to get down. He's got to slide. He's got to avoid inviting that contact. But you can't rattle this guy. You might rattle his helmet. You're not going to rattle his brain, though. This guy is so mentally tough. I don't know that I've ever come across a football player that is just as stagnant as Jayden Daniels is. Like, he doesn't react to anything. You hit him, you light him up, he fumbles, fine. He comes right back out the next possession and leads the offense to a touchdown. Like, it's unbelievable. So, it's really frustrating that week after week, this guy is producing, capital P, producing, and the defense is wasting it. And this is going to be all year. Go on ESPN right now in a world where LSU is 5-0. They beat Florida State. Or even they're 4-1. They lose to Florida State. Everybody's talking about Jayden Daniels. Nobody's talking about Caleb Williams. Jayden Daniels would be the Heisman frontrunner right now if this defense was any better. And it's a darn shame because this is going to go down when it's all said and done as one of the best quarterbacking seasons by an LSU signal caller ever, right next to Joe Burrow. All right, let's get into the defensive side of the ball. And speaking of a dual-threat quarterback in Jayden Daniels, this LSU defense can't stop a dual-threat quarterback, and you think they'd be pretty good because they play against Daniels all spring, all summer, all fall in training camp. But when they see a quarterback that has any kind of mobility at all, they don't know what to do. And it's a player thing. It's a coaching thing. It's really a lot of different things baked into the same cake. And this defense, and really it's opposing offenses that are eating that cake every single week. They're feasting on it. So what went wrong in this game against the dual-threat quarterbacks? We've already seen Jordan Travis go off against these guys. We saw KJ Jefferson of Arkansas do the exact same thing, and now you can add Jackson Dart to the list as well. He didn't have any super long carries like Daniels did. I think he totaled over 50 yards, but every yard that Jackson Dart gained was meaningful. It was in third downs, third and mediums, fourth downs even, to move the chains and keep Ole Miss moving down the field methodically. He even hurdled the guy. Like, he's not a guy that I expected to do the things that he did to this defense in this game. But when you don't tackle, when you don't maintain gap responsibility, which Coach Kelly and all these coaches have talked about before as something they have to clean up, those things weren't cleaned up. And when you don't do those things, if you got legs and you can run, heck, if you can even jog, you'll eat against this LSU defense. And Jackson Dart did, everybody did on this Ole Miss offense. Here's the problem. We've talked about this so many times. I literally feel like a broken record. 0 sacks in this game. All of last year, you guys know the stat. We've talked about this several times. In each of the 4 games LSU lost last year, they had 0 sacks in all of those games. Against Florida State, the opener, 0 sacks, they lost. This game, they lost 0 sacks. Like, it's transitive property. You don't get sacks, you don't win football games. And that's what it is right now for LSU football. On top of that, that's kind of a player thing. Sometimes you miss tackles, you don't maintain your gaps. Like, that's kind of on the players. But it's also on coaching and schematics as well. And when we do the film review on the whiteboard over here that you'll see in a minute, I'm going to dive into how schematically some things LSU does is just pure stupidity. And frankly, it's medieval. Like, they need to catch up with what football is right now in the modern day and age because they are way behind, like 30 years behind I'm talking about. It didn't seem like LSU was prepared for the tempo of this game. When you think about Lane Kiffin, you think about Ole Miss, it's a fast, run-and-gun, NASCAR approach when it comes to football. Plays done. All right, let's get to the line. Let's go. 4 or 5 seconds, next play. LSU had multiple illegal substitution penalties. Ole Miss was on the 1-yard line, and they tried to sub, and a guy's got to run like 40 yards from the sideline to the goal line to get into the play. Like, obviously, a 350-pound lineman's not going to make it there in time. They just didn't have the substitutions down, and the players looked tired. I talked about the offense having juice, having charisma. The defense had absolutely none of that. They took no pride in defending their end zone in this game. I'm standing behind the end zone for one of Ole Miss's touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and Quinshawn Judkins, Jackson Dart, whoever it is taking the rock, Ulysses Bentley as well, just hammering down on this LSU front. And they just sat there and took it like, oh, I guess they're going to score again. I'm not going to do anything about it. They just did not take any pride in that red zone defense. And as I talked about last week, that was the difference in winning that Arkansas game. You got 2 stops inside the 10, forced 2 field goals. You do that in this game, you win the game. But no, they didn't bow their necks. They buckled. And Ole Miss punched it in and finished drives. And that really was the key to them pulling out and winning this game. And then a few other things here. Missed tackles galore. Like, if you want a lesson on how to tackle an opposing football player, I hope you didn't watch this game, because this is the exact opposite of what you need to be watching. If you tuned in to watch flag football, on the other hand, yeah, you may have been in the right place, because that's what LSU was playing. They were grabbing for flags, and they thought when they touched the guy's hip, he was down. Nope, you got to bring him down to the ground, actually. That's how football works. That's how it's worked since 1894, or whenever Rutgers started playing against Harvard and whoever else. That's how football has been played for years. This team had no physicality. They took no pride. I talk about pride. They took no pride in that contact. They just got bullied. Again, I said it in the first game of the season. They had no interest in physically competing with Florida State, and the same is true here. There's a couple of plays that stuck out in my head. Here's one of them. It was a 3rd and 5, opening drive of the game. Harold Perkins in perfect position to make a tackle. 3 and out, get the team off the field, misses the tackle, and the Ole Miss player, I think it was Jackson Dart, takes off, gets the first down, drive continues, eventually Ole Miss scores. You make that tackle, you get off the field, and it just comes down to missed tackling again, and I got a stat for that. Here you go. LSU is the 7th worst tackling team in the Power 5, that's 60 or so teams. They miss 16.9% of their tackles. That's ugly. That's a bad number. And that really is why you're in the position you're in. In this game, LSU missed 34 tackles, which allowed Ole Miss to gain 284 extra yards. That is, they had 706 total on the game. That's almost half of their yardage coming in situations where you just didn't make a tackle. That can't happen. You eliminate even half of that 288 or 284, whatever it is, it's unacceptable. You're in a better position to win this game. But that wasn't the case. Ole Miss runs rampant with the running backs, with the quarterback. They passed it all over LSU. Just so many problems and issues with this defense. So many that I've got to take another 5 to 10 minutes to really talk about it. So the point here is that LSU still can't stop a dual-threat quarterback, and we've seen 3. I've asked, people have asked, what's being done about it? We get answers verbally, but physically, there have been no answers. And until we see any answers actually on the football field, between the hashes, between the lines, they can't stop a dual-threat quarterback, and that really impacts how you look at LSU's viewpoint on what they can accomplish this season and what teams they can beat this year. If you got a dual-threat quarterback, as of right now, you're moving the ball in LSU, and you're probably beating LSU, and that's where we are. All right, as I said, I've got 2 pages of notes on why this defense is bad, and here's the second page, and then I got to go to the whiteboard too. I mean, this is how bad the defense is. So what is wrong with LSU's defense? A lot of different things, but I want to start with this. Who's the leader of this unit? Jayden Daniels commands the LSU offense. He's the guy everybody looks to. He's the guy that gets everything organized. Who is that for the defense? I have no idea. It just seems like they don't have a guy that's captaining the ship. It's not Omar Spates, because he hasn't, I'm trying to be nice, he hasn't transitioned well enough from the Pac-12 to the SEC that he's on the sideline, and a true freshman that nobody expected to play now has to play. So he's not the leader. Mason Smith theoretically is a leader, but he doesn't have a lot to say. In the times that I see him, I watch him on the sideline, he's not really saying a whole lot. Now, he plays well and he leads by example, but you need a vocal leader. Like, the football stereotype is you've got this big middle linebacker who just is the stickler. Like, he'll tell you when you're doing wrong, but he'll also make sure you're in the right place, in the right position when a coverage is called, when a change is made. I don't know who that is with the defense. Maybe it's Mekhi Wingo. I mean, he's wearing number 18, that famous number there on the inside of that D-line. But usually it's the linebacker because the D-line can only see so much up there in front. You need the guys in the second level to tell the corners where to go and the safeties where to go. And why does this matter? Because in this game, you had a lot of young, inexperienced guys playing at corner. And there were so many busted coverages, you may as well have not even had them on the field because you got receivers running wide open. And you think about a radar system, the LSU corners were not even on the radar, like nowhere on the screen. No blimps anywhere, none of that. No sonar, whatever it's called. They were not in the neighborhood. They were in another county in this game, which is unacceptable. And a lot of that has to do with communication. I know it's hard when you go on the road and you're playing in a loud environment like at Vaughn Hemingway Stadium there and you can't hear literally anything, but that's why you practice for months. That's why you practice with the noise blaring here at LSU. That's why, you do so many meetings and go over film studies and hand signals and all that stuff. Whatever they're trying to do, it's not working because some guys think it's man coverage, some guys think it's zone coverage, and the two of those together don't mix well. And that's why you get a 55-49 Ole Miss win and a really, really bad defensive showing. So on top of that, there were some really bad schematic decisions in this game. I'm going to tell you them right now, but I'm going to show you them on the whiteboard here in just a few minutes. So 2 examples that just made me furious. Like, what are we doing? So there was one play where Ole Miss motioned a running back out of the backfield to the flat, and I thought that a linebacker would have him, considering the linebacker's 5 yards away from where the running back is. No. Turns out it's the safety's job to cover that running back. And there's 20 yards of space between where that running back catches the ball in the backfield and where Andre Sam, the strong safety, is. So he's got to go all the way down the 20 yards and weave his way through traffic like he's on I-10 coming into Baton Rouge to make that tackle. And that is extremely difficult. He didn't make the tackle. I don't even know that an NFL safety like the Honey Badger even would make that tackle. Like, that is just very hard to do. And why are you knowingly putting your players in bad positions schematically? It doesn't make any sense. All right, and then on top of that, I can't show you the play. I'd love to, but, the SEC's got their copyright rules, so I got to tell you verbally. So I'm trying to do the best I can painting the picture for you. Ole Miss's first touchdown. Remember, the running back was wide open. Same kind of deal. Just ran out of the backfield. Leaked out to the right side. Wide open. I mean, I almost wanted to jump out there, drop my camera, and go cover him. He was right in front of me. So on this play, it was Greg Penn's job, the linebacker, to go across the entire landscape of the play from... So here's the running back. Here's Penn. He goes here. He's got to go all the way across to get to him. Here's the problem, though. Lane Kiffin, he's smart. And this is why I say they got out-coached. He sent his receivers on slants and just crossing routes. Again, to create that I-10 traffic, this time going to Hammond, so that Penn couldn't get through. It's just a logjam right here. And while Penn's trying to sift his way through all that, like he's a miner, the running back's wide open in the end zone. So 2 bad schematic decisions. Maybe it was a communication thing. Maybe it was a scheme thing. Whatever it was, didn't work. And when you're a defensive coordinator and Matt House, who's been talked about as a guy maybe who's ready to take a job at Michigan State as a head coach, I mean, I'm a Michigan fan, so I'd love that to happen after seeing this. But if you're a State fan, heck no. This guy's not ready for a head coaching job. He can't even get his defense to do simple schematic things. And, that's just what it is. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's what it is. Your defense just allowed 700 yards and 55 points against the team that Alabama just held to 10 points, mind you. So, a few other things that I didn't like in this game. Can we please unleash Harold Perkins? He's a NFL first-round pick waiting to happen. He's got speed that nobody else has in this defense. Physicality that nobody else has in this defense. And we're dropping him into cover 2. For what? Let him blitz. Let him eat. Let him do what he does. Whatever. If he isn't a first-round pick because you're using him to the best of his abilities in college, whatever. Your job isn't to boost Harold Perkins' draft stock. Your job is to win football games. So you got to do what you need to do to win those football games. And that means using Harold Perkins in the correct way. And they're not doing that right now. So I've kind of hit on everything, and I'm going to cover the loose ends on the whiteboard here. But, I mean, you had young corners, Latarius Welsh playing his first ever game. Ashton Stamps played a lot. They're both true freshmen or redshirt freshmen, super young guys who barely ever played. Denver Harris, who's a 5-star, but he's barely ever played. These were the guys taking the meaningful snaps at corner because Deuce Chestnut didn't make the trip. Don't know why. And Zy Alexander was banged up during the game and was doing calisthenics. I don't know how much he played in the second half. Played a little bit, and he made some good plays while he was out there, but he wasn't 100%. So you were forced to play these young guys, and these are the guys that were busting on the coverages and just not understanding what their role and responsibility is on certain plays. So undisciplined, outcoached, outschemed, not prepared. That is the quick summary of whatever the heck it was we watched from LSU's defense when they played Ole Miss. It was terrible. We'll talk about it more at the whiteboard. And they got to clean these things up, though, or else this team may not even make a bowl game this year. All right, we're here at the whiteboard because, again, this defense was so bad in this game, I had to pull out the pen and show you guys the plays I'm talking about because I can't show you the actual game footage. So here's what we got. I got 2 plays for you I want to talk about. Both resulted in Ole Miss touchdowns, and both were extremely easy to avoid if you just do the X's and O's schematics thing. So here we go. This is the first play. This was Ole Miss's first touchdown, and Quinshon Judkins, the running back here, is the guy that ends up getting open. He was so wide open, something went wrong. I'm going to show you what went wrong. So here's the alignment. The X's are for the offense. I know it should be O's for the offense, but I messed up, so we got X's for the offense on this play. Here's the defensive alignment. So you got 2 receivers over here, the quarterback here, and then a tight end and 2 receivers on this side. And then LSU defensively is the O's here. They're kind of spread out and whatnot. So the play starts with Judkins. He's actually split out over here as a wide receiver. He motions, hence the dotted lines, the dashed lines, behind the quarterback in the backfield and ends up out here in the flat. I put boxes around the guys that are important on this play. It's Judkins and then Greg Penn. He's the linebacker right here. You need to watch what he does on this play too. So, as I said, Judkins motions out, and it's man-to-man, which means whatever he does, Penn has to do, unless the defense does some kind of a check, but they didn't do a check. In a good world, I'll tell you what should have happened. Here's what does happen. So he motions, he goes, play starts. This tight end, crossing route, these 2 receivers, just vertical, doesn't really matter what route they run. Their job is to create traffic, and they do that with these vertical routes. So we're going to just kind of scribble right here because this is a log jam. You basically can't get through there. It's a fence. That's what it is. So he motions. Penn's got to follow. All right, fine. The play starts. He goes. Oh, we run into the log jam. And he gets caught up in there. Penn's out of the play. Ovia Gufu comes off the edge, the D end, but nobody accounts for Judkins. He's wide open over here where there's nobody. He makes the catch, and that's a touchdown, 7-0 Ole Miss. What should have happened? Communication. He motions. I know there's like a split-second thing, but you got to have the ability to communicate. So whoever this was here, I think this was Omar Spates, the other linebacker, he's got to make a check, like one of these kind of things, like I'll pick up this running back, because if he picks up that running back, or say he picks up this tight end, this corner right here then picks up, everybody slides over basically. He gets him, he gets him, he gets him. Maybe this corner out here could have slid over, or maybe Ogufu could have followed Judkins out to the open space here and prevented this play from happening because he was wide open, and that's how they scored their first touchdown. So just, again, an example of being out-coached, out-schemed. Lane Kiffin clogs this up, leaks his running back wide open out to the flat. Easy catch, touchdown. Probably could have done it blindfold. Let's go to the next play. So this was
later on, there we go, in the game, close to the end of the first half. In fact, it was like the final minute of that first half. And we had a bust in coverage, basically, if I can get to it. There it is. All right, here we go. Stay here. So offenses are in the O's, defense is in the X, switched it up again. So here's the diagram. Judkins on a wheel route. You got 3 receivers out here. A receiver tight as well. He's the guy we got to watch in this play. It was Dayton Wade, Ole Miss receiver. And you got to watch Laterris Welsh, who was playing corner out there for LSU. Those are the important guys. These guys, they're doing whatever. So wheel route, Wade runs a drag across the formation. The tight end back here, Preekshorn, he runs on top of him on a drag route. And this receiver basically does the same thing. He kind of just clears out of the way and creates, again, that log jam here right in the middle. So here's what happens. And then this receiver is running a vertical stop and go. Doesn't matter. What happens is LSU's in man-to-man. So you got the dash lines. This guy, he's got the running back. Back here, he's got this receiver. And this was Sage Ryan. He has this receiver. So it's man-to-man. And then Zy Alexander is this guy. What happens, though, is Welsh drops back like it's zone, like it's cover 3, cover 4, and Major Burns also does that. So you've got 2 guys right here covering this area. Meanwhile, Wade runs wide open on this drag route. He gets to this part of the field. He is wide open. Nobody around him. I talked about in the segment about why the defense is bad. Nobody's even in the sonar. Alexander's back here with this receiver. Everybody else, Welsh, Burns, they're over there. He's the only guy on this side of the field. Catch, runs it in, touchdown. He could have stopped, had a cup of coffee, and walked his way into the end zone. That's how open he was. Why? Because Welsh thought it was man-to-man. Burns probably was doing his job as just kind of helping out, playing deep, but he missed his assignment. He covered this running back when we already had the running back cover right here with this guy. His job was to come across the formation and cover that drag route. He didn't do it. I know he's a young guy, hasn't played a whole lot, but simple things like that happened over and over again in this game, as I just showed you. These are only 2 instances. It happened a lot more than that, though. So these are the kinds of things that need to be done. Literally this. Go to a whiteboard, if you're Matt House or the secondaries coach, and diagram these plays and show your players what they did wrong. Because if he just knew it was man-to-man, I highly doubt that this ends up in a touchdown, because it was pretty well covered besides for him being wide open and Ole Miss scoring. So they tacked on another touchdown there. They scored more touchdowns in these kind of situations in the second half, and that's how you get a 55-49 game. So, you got all these complicated coverages, cover 4, cover 3 buns, whatever. How about we just start with man-to-man and zone and go from there? Let's have our players knowing if we're in man-to-man or zone. That's a good starting point, and that's something that everybody should understand, and that might kind of solve some of these problems. But things like that can't happen. I don't care who it is that's playing out there. You got to know your assignment, because if you don't, it's 11 on 11. One guy messes up, you got problems. This was a problem. Ole Miss scored, and again, it was just a reoccurrence of the same stuff over and over again, all 4 quarters. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's kind of just a quick illustration at what is wrong with this defense, and we'll do this some more this season.
All right, I feel purged. I feel like we got all of our thoughts on the table. We got everything out there, and now we can move on to next week. But now we know what to expect. I was very confident in this team to go to Ole Miss, win this game easily. And when they went up 49-40 and the Ole Miss students started throwing cans and all that stuff, I was like, all right, they got this. Ugly, bad game, but got the W. That's what counts. But then they lose, and it just really punctuates things and makes things even worse. So that's where we are. Expect a lot of points to be scored by LSU, but then also insert team name here for whoever they're playing on a specific week. So they got another tough game at Missouri this weekend. Top 25 battle, another great offense, but Missouri's defense also not too good either. So probably another shootout. We'll preview that on Thursday and get into the Saints as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the whiteboard segment. We're going to try to do more of that as we go along here because, again, we can't use video game footage because of copyright rules. Don't necessarily agree with that, but whatever. Not up to me. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out the website. And we'll catch you guys on Thursday. Thanks a lot for tuning in.